Someone who attended my meditation class 2 years ago, a relative stranger to me on the internet, recently called my work AI Slop. I wasn't offended. I was honored. It's a strange milestone, like a medieval scholar being accused of witchcraft the moment his spell starts working. It reminded me of my friend Z, who got dragged on Hacker News for the same thing. His piece, called Source Code, a standing note on AI use in 2025, was, to me, brilliant, even genius. Philosophical and surgical, he handled the mob with the calm of a man who's already accepted that human intelligence is now a group project. Meanwhile, I reacted by laughing, spilling coffee on my notebook, and wondering if I should print AI Slop on a t-shirt. I really still might do the t-shirt. If not for the non-existent fortune that will come from it, then at least for the lulz. I'll try to be as clear as my subjective human nature allows me to. But if you ever saw my process, you'd never accuse me of using too much technology. You'd accuse me of using not enough. My workflow is, to me, equal parts mysticism, panic, and garbage collection. I don't write so much as I bleed onto paper and pray it arranges itself into an intelligible thesis. Here's kind of what the process looks like right now. First, I scribble ideas on random pages, receipts, envelopes, a notebook from 4 years ago from Five Below. If you don't know what that is, it's a fascinating retail venture, by the way. Whatever's nearby when I have a pen. Sometimes I don't have a pen. These scribbles look like the diary of a person halfway between enlightenment and burnout. Or, as some would say, someone who has completed his descent into madness. I take photos of them. I upload the photos to ChatGPT. And I say something like, translate the scribblings of this madman into something people might read before scrolling away. Okay, that's not literally the prompt, but it has been a few times. And it's not like magic comes back. It's legibility. It's my madness neatly folded, my chaos spell-checked, although I don't know why there are still sometimes typos. So yes, technically it's AI assisted, but me wearing this ridiculous mask and giant hoodie sitting on a couch next to my window isn't. If you've ever seen the original drafts, you'd know that calling this slop is like calling Frankenstein's monster cosmetic surgery. My friend Z uses what he calls a structured pipeline. Voice notes, editorial passes, multilingual cross-checks. The man's a Moroccan engineer philosopher. His workflow has more order than the periodic table, or really any methodology I've come across lately. I think it's a work of art in its own right. Mine, on the other hand, is the digital equivalent of a seance. I mutter half-thoughts into the void, and the algorithm slaps me back. Did you mean to write this? Sometimes it misunderstands me beautifully. Sometimes it saves me from my own over-philosophizing. Sometimes it just sits quietly and lets me fall apart mid-sentence, which, to be fair, is all most good editors do, at least in my opinion. So yes, Z's approach is truly beautiful, one I can't help but stare in awe at. Mine is a pretty cool tent in the desert, built out of Wi-Fi, and some kind of willpower. But we're praying to the same muse. There's this myth that authenticity requires visible struggle. We want to see the sweat, the brush strokes, the poet chain smoking into the abyss. We don't trust anything that looks too clean. That's why AI triggers people. It removes the evidence of suffering. But you know what else did that? The typewriter, the word processor, Grammarly. The editor who said, maybe cut this part where you cry for 2 pages. Every tool that ever made expression easier was called lazy, impure, or mechanical. Every generation resists the next one's shortcuts because it threatens their sacred suffering. Z wrote something I'll never forget. The question isn't who wrote this, it's, did this help you think differently? That's the only metric that matters. If the idea wakes you up, why does it matter which set of neurons, organic or silicon, helped it come to life? Something that amuses me about authenticity is that no one's ever truly written alone. We've always had collaborators. Family, friends, editors, readers, spell checkers, coffee, God. Even the prophets had scribes. Not to compare this to that, I would obviously never do that. But still. The only difference now is that our scribe corrects grammar in real time, and instead of charging by the hour, it just occasionally hallucinates an extra paragraph about quantum spirituality. When I use AI, it doesn't erase my mind. It reflects it back at me, faster than I can type. It forces me to confront what I actually mean. I don't think it makes me less human, it just makes me more deliberate. So yes, this is the year I was called AI Slop, and I loved it. Because what the critic was really saying was, this is too articulate for someone like you. It's the same energy as the teachers who accused kids of plagiarism because their essays were too good. Z has a story like that from his school days, or should I say Dr. Buttons, but you'd have to read the thing, which is in the description, to see what I'm talking about. And I have mine. A teacher once asked me, "Did your dad write this for you?" Firstly, why my dad? What about my mom? What about a story about turning invisible by drinking a potion you found in an old antique store made you think my parent wrote it for me? To me, the translation for this was that I made her question her grading rubric. Being doubted for clarity is a badge of honor in a world that's addicted to almost everything. When I write with AI, it feels like thinking out loud to a patient friend. Not a perfect friend, not even close, but more like one who occasionally drifts into philosophy mid-sentence, but still listens better than most humans. I feed it fragments, moods, contradictions, and it returns structure. It helps me untangle thoughts I didn't even know were connected. Sometimes it says something that makes me stop and think, wait, is that what I meant? That moment of recognition, that echo of meaning, to me at least, is spiritual. To you it might look like automation, but to me it's a revelation. People who complain about AI writing use AI every day. They let autocorrect fix their spelling, they Google metaphors, they read articles edited by predictive grammar tools. But the second someone admits to using ChatGPT, it's heresy. I don't see this as outsourcing creativity. I see it as giving the ineffable a co-pilot. I'm still steering. I'm still insane. I just finally have a machine that can keep up. So yes, I'm saying this again, because it's fun. Someone called me AI Slop. And yes, I saved that comment like it was fan mail. Because in a few years, everyone will be co-creating with machines, and the only difference will be who admits it. Z got flamed on Hacker News. I got roasted by a guy who attended a meditation class I taught, one time I might add. Different platforms, but the same primal fear, that the line between human and tool is blurring, and we might lose our claim to purity. But I don't want purity. I want actualization. I want clarity. I want to get the noise in my head onto the page before it eats me alive. If the machine helps me do that faster, you can call it slop. I call it synthesis. I call it digital mysticism with better punctuation. I call it the scribblings of a man trying to describe the divine with a borrowed pen. I call it me. And no, this podcast isn't using an AI voice. This was created with a human emotion, divine confusion, one very judgmental cup of coffee, and an AI assistant who politely declined to take credit. The madness is mine. The coherence is shared.